spoilers. Has everyone seen Infinity War?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Perfect. Great. Here, oh, I gotta switch up.
You gotta switch it up. I'm waiting.
Switch it up. Okay, sorry. Here.
I feel like this is like the beginning to like, you know, Hot Tin Roof or something. I'm just gonna like come out here.
What an obscure theater reference that no one will understand.
Alrighty, this next question is from Skylar.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
Old people.
At Waluigi Cat.
Yeah, Waluigi.
Waluigi Cat, at Waluigi Cat, which
Yes.
by the way is a great Twitter handle. What is your favorite theory and why?
Ooh.
And I'm assuming this is pretty open-ended, so we'll include film theory and game theory in this one.
Yes. Okay, so my favorite, I have a couple favorite game theories, unfortunately. Like, I know that's always a cop-out answer, but I have a couple. So, is that okay, Mr. Moderator?
That's go ahead.
Thank you. So I would say my favorite episodes of Game Theory are one, I really like the Peach is dead, Rosalina's parentage theory. Is Rosalina Peach's daughter? I love that one because that's like my perfect episode of Game Theory where we take on some deep lore research with us going into like the international translations and looking at the details within the cutscenes in the game. I love it because it has the scientific research angle to it, talking about the genetics of the eye color and the hair color and Luigi and hair color, and ultimately, like, at the end of the day, it's one of those theories where I'm like, yeah, I totally, like, by the end, I had convinced myself that this is absolutely the thing. I don't believe every single theory that I do. I think that there's enough evidence to support the theories that I do, but I don't necessarily believe all of them. But that one about Rosalina being Peach's daughter, I absolutely think 100%. I think the game and the evidence in the game really points in that direction. And then I would also say, quite honestly, the entirety of the FNAF series. Because for everyone being like, oh, FNAF is dead, oh, you do too many FNAF theories or whatever. Like, one of the things I love about it is Scott is such a smart game creator because he's seeded in these ideas that get people online talking about his stuff. That, like, games don't do that. And you know, up until recently, like, no one had even considered that. Like, oh, your gameplay experience is different than their gameplay experience, and like the story's there, but not quite. Like, it is such an innovative idea for gaming online. I think it's such a good way to kind of leverage what a modern game looks and feels like. And not only that, but every single person who has ever edited a video of Game Theory, like all the different editors that we've either had work for us or have come through the ranks, has worked on a FNAF theory at some point. And so I can look through the entire FNAF series and say like, oh, that's the one that Ronnie edited. Oh, that's the one that Ryder edited. Oh, that's the one that Lee edited. And it's such a cool moment to see just like how much of a group effort those episodes have been, and it's really inspiring to see that like this is kind of our collective creativity in action, which is really awesome. On the film theory side, what's my favorite on film theory? I like a lot on film theory. Film theory was actually really going back to that earlier question about how do you stay like creatively refreshed or what happens when you hit a roadblock. Actually, launching film theory was fantastic because there's only so many different types of topics that you can talk about through the realm of video games. Or like it tends to lean more into like the physics category, deep lore category, things like that. But once we opened it up to film, film, movies, television, YouTube videos, things like that, it really blew open the door because if anything has ever happened, it has appeared in a movie at some point or another. And so like we're able to touch on more topics like chemistry and biology and economics and stuff, which was really creatively refreshing for me. It was really, really great. And so some of my favorites on film theory actually, like the cars in Cars aren't really cars. I like that one a lot. I really like the episode. I like the Pixar theories a lot because I just love those so much. I also really like the Disney one on Peter Pan, which we just did. finding where in the world Neverland would be. And here's a fun fact, actually, in case you didn't know this. So in that episode, we calculate that that Neverland, if you follow Peter Pan's trajectory as they fly in all the directions and this and that, you can actually trace Neverland to Belize and a specific coast in Belize, right? And the crazy thing about it is the Belize Board of Tourism found out about this video, and it has changed the entire way that the country markets itself. This is no joke. Like, right? That girl in like the fourth row right there, she's like, no. I'm like, yes. It's crazy. Like, they actually reached out to us and they're like, hey, we are now marketing ourselves as the Neverland, like the real world Neverland. This is no joke. And they also have started a giveaway to real world Peters and Wendy's. Like, if you are a couple with the name Peter and Wendy, they will give you a free trip to Belize. Like, how crazy is that? Yeah, change your name right now. Absolutely. Everyone's on their phone right now to like the U.S. justice system, like being like, how do I change my name legally? Yeah, so they're actually doing a giveaway to like real world Peters and Wendy's to kind of reinforce this idea of like, we're the real world Neverland. And it's so cool to think that, again, like the first question was, I started this at my lowest of lows, and now I'm at a point and have enough people watching and have enough people supporting us that, like, when we do a video, a country changes the way it talks about itself. That's crazy. That's crazy. So I would say that those are two of my favorite, or some of my favorites.
Well, dang. Next question.
Yes.
This one's from Emma at VidCon. What milestone in your career surprised or shocked you the most?
What milestone in my career surprised or shocked me the most? I would say that there were probably two. So this is awkward. Talking here, I'm gonna switch around back there. I mean, talking to the Twitter background was really exciting. But I'd rather see you guys. See ya. Bye. Have a good end of your VidCon. Yeah, peace. Forever. Here's this. I would say there were two milestones that really stand out. So first off was actually hitting 10 million subscribers. And because in all seriousness, I never thought that we could get there. And this is being 100% real. Like, when YouTube rolled out, like, when I got the gold play button at 1 million subscribers, I'm like, yes, I did it. Like, achievement unlocked, you know, I can walk away, like, if whatever happens with the channel or whatever, at least I know I've gotten, like, all the big achievements that YouTube has to offer, because I'm totally an overachiever who, like, cares about that stuff way too much, admittedly. But then they're like, and here's the diamond play button. And you're like, oh no, that's so many people. There's no way I'm gonna do that. Like, well, there went that achievement. And honestly, thank you. Yes, we've given up on achievements. Yes. Was that move for getting the diamond play button, or was that move for like giving up on like, let me give up on trying to get 10 million subscribers? Well, thank you. Oh man. Okay, great. I gotta finish the question. So when they revealed it, I'm like, oh, there's no chance that I'm gonna be able to do this, because at that point, you know, like the channel's like 3-ish years old, 4-ish years old, and especially in the early YouTube days, channel lifespans were about 4 years. You would actually see them all kind of like have their arc, and then they would slowly kind of like peter off and die. Everything has a lifespan. And so I'm like, okay, you know, we got the million, that's fantastic. I love doing this, I'm gonna do this for as long as I can, but, you know, 10 million, I just don't think I can hit it. I don't know if there are enough people out there in the world who care whether Mario is a sociopath or not. But fast forward 4 years later, or, you know, 3-4 years later from that moment, and I mean, today, the channel is stronger now than it has ever been, which is wild. and you know, crossing 10 million, and we're closing in on like 10.5 million. And so like it was one of those things that it was such an achievement because never in my wildest dreams did I think that I could do it, but I didn't give up, and I wanted to just like, hey, I'm gonna plow ahead and keep trying, and we'll see if we get there. And we did, which was awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Yes. The other thing that I would say, the other achievement, quite honestly, is meeting the Pope. You know, giving him Undertale, telling him that Sam's his nest. I did not talk to him about that. I didn't want to spoil the surprise. No, like again, remember, this is all based. This whole thing, all of this, is something that I started when I couldn't find a job, out of my closet. I had no video editing experience, or minimal video editing experience. I had no idea if this wacky idea would work. I just did it because I loved learning, I loved teaching myself, and I was fortunate enough to have really good teachers who instilled a sense of learning in me and an intellectual curiosity in me. And I recognized, hey, if I can, you know, other people aren't as fortunate to have such good teachers as I did. But, you know, if I can kind of get them excited about learning through Mario, through their favorite franchises, through Sonic, through Frozen, whatever, like that kind of pays it forward and helps other people get excited about subjects that they might not have been interested in or understand them in ways that would have gone over their head before. And so all of this is kind of rooted in that idea. And then fast forward to, you know, a couple years ago, and it's like YouTube reaching out to us and being like, we want you to be the US ambassador to meet the Pope for digital video creators. And it's like, you realize I just talk about nerdy stuff in my closet, right? And they're like, yeah, that's great. I'm like, awesome. And to this day, I have like the best bragging rights in my family ever, because like my grandparents and my aunts and uncles and my cousins have literally no idea what I do. Like they still to this day have no idea what any of this is. But when I'm like, oh yeah, and I got to meet the Pope, and they're like, what? Oh my gosh. So that's the other thing. I'm so incredibly grateful that I had that opportunity. And again, talking about video games does not inherently lead itself to like go meet like one of the largest religious leaders in the world. So
yeah, that was incredible. This next question I really like.
I like that you say it like you were there.
I know. I was there
in
your house watching your cat. While you were meeting.
You were. I was Skip during that time, by the way.
Skip was great. That was before Skip has tortured me before, but that was early in our relationship.
That was before his pee on the carpet days.
Yeah, Skip once walked into a room, stood over my external hard drive, looked at me, and then peed on it.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Why did you ever tell me this story?
Because, I was bullied. I felt ashamed.
Was he staring at you? Was he like this the whole time?
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was happening.
Look at what's going on right now.
Oh,
what are you gonna do?
And then I went, ah! And then he ran out of the room.
I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, me too.
I would have paid you extra for that weekend.
No, it was all worth it. I learned something.
What did you learn about the cat peeing? What did the cat peeing on the hard drive teach you?
Trust no one. No, this next question is from @SamiraRose_Rose16. Would you like to change position?
Wait, was she there?
Is she here? Samira? Hey!
Oh, there she is. Great. Perfect. Shoot, I gotta change positions. Change places! I'm the moderator now.
No, you're not.
Wow, you just big time to me, didn't you?
No.
Okay, great.
So, @HeroRose16 asks, how do you separate fact from fiction when you're researching? How do you know what's actually something reliable that you can use in an episode?
I think a lot of, the research process is always really hard. Because on a week-to-week basis, we're teaching ourselves everything from like Korean copyright law which was a weird one, to like how a helicopter, helicopter physics, which is a very different thing from airplane physics, which is a very different thing than like the economic situation in Africa. Like, so every week we're having to like cover so many different topics. So the research part of it is always very, very different based on what you're researching, the topics that you're covering, things like that. But in general, if I were to say like, how do you tell in general? It's one, double and triple checking your resources if you can. So, finding a statistic on one website and then checking to see if you can find that same statistic in other websites, that's definitely a big part of it. Another part of it is, as much as possible, reading scientific papers. So Google Scholar is one of our primary resources, where we're going on to Google Scholar, which really houses all the official academic papers that have been peer-reviewed and well-researched and kind of validated via other sources. And so we will go to those a lot of times and draw directly from there, which is why we've tried more and more in the episode edits to show off those papers as we're talking about them, so that people, it's kind of weird to do a resource list in the description, and a lot of times we're drawing from just so many resources, it's hard to keep track of everything. But if we can, especially for some of those big facts, if we can show that one paper or those two papers or whatever where the study came from, now all of a sudden we're kind of citing our sources, but in a more dynamic way than we would otherwise. But that's really how it boils down in a lot of cases. Is one, making sure that the facts are repeated across multiple kind of reliable sources, and then if you get on a Wikipedia page, going down to where that source was cited and then reading back the primary source and things like that, and then to going to the fundamental scientific papers and making sure that as much as has been officially covered has been.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Thorough research.
All right, this next question I've been seeing pop up quite a lot, so I think I should ask it. Specifically, I need to go somewhere? Perfect.
This is different because I'm across these things.
So, at Zelda Nerd Girl asks, if you could live in any video game world, what world would you live in and why? And I know a couple of you have asked that question, but, you all deserve a call out. I'm just not going to do it, so sorry.
Oh, you're not in order. Wow. What video game? Yeah, no, not GTA. Why would you do GTA?
It's like almost the real world.
Yeah, one, GTA is close to the real world. Two, you're probably gonna get shot. Yeah, that's great, fantastic. What? Wait, hold on. You what'd you say? Yeah, Detroit? You think? There's an ongoing strife between mankind and android kind. I don't know, that feels weird too. I love Detroit though. This feels like a very important question, because if I get this wrong, I'll probably die some horrific death. What? Street Fighter? Yeah? Everything is just decided by people fighting each other on the streets? I mean, what's a good... This is tough. This is tough. Fictional, yeah, FNAF? Did someone say FNAF? In a world where a man can kidnap multiple small children and shove them into animatronic suits. That's the universe for me.
Destiny.
So I feel for that one. Okay, hold on. How would you guys feel if I said Skyrim or Elder Scrolls? Right now, I feel as I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking Earthbound is our own world, though, is the problem. Because Earthbound, yeah, Doki Doki Literature Club, that's a winner. I think it's got to be Elder Scrolls, because Elder Scrolls is all the coolest parts of being in that those kind of fantasy novels, mildly inspired by history. You got all these cool creatures, you have all these cool races, you have dragons, you have swords, you have magic, but it's all of that stuff without all the awful stuff peeing in a bucket in a room somewhere. You know, because you'll notice, are there toilets in the Elder Scrolls series? Is there one? I don't think there is. Are there bathrooms? No. Really? Damn it. Okay, no. I want a video game universe where I don't have to go to the bathroom.
Come on!
Wait, everyone's like, I know a universe that wait, what's the universe? Great, I choose. That's the one I want. Minecraft. Yes.
There you go.
That's a good one. Minecraft.
Fucking anything you want, boy.
Minecraft's a good one, right?
It looks shit, sure. Do whatever, though.
Let's analytically go through this, shall we? Minecraft is great because I, as a person in that world, can carry like an infinite amount of weight. I need to eat relatively infrequently, but if I need to, it's pretty easy to find food. I have no problem really eating raw meat. I guess that's no problem. Like you can punch a tree, which is pretty cool, and not die. I'm strong enough to punch a tree. I can literally, like, there's gold and diamonds pretty much everywhere. Like, let's be honest. You can build a house in like a matter of like 10 seconds. You know, you can build a house out of dirt.
You can do that in the real world.
I mean, you can build a house out of, but this is a comfortable house out of dirt. Touche. And then there's like this nether world, which you can like become lord of the underworld, which is pretty cool. Portals to the nether. That's pretty interesting. There's a dragon. There's weird alien creatures. The whole thing. I think Minecraft. Good call. Good call on Minecraft. Yeah, I like Minecraft. And you also don't have to go to the bathroom. Basketball. No toilets. I don't know what I got against going to the bathroom. It just seems so inefficient.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad that's the stipulation. You had to choose a universe.
Yeah.
I have another question.
Okay, you have another question? Well, you have to here. Touch my feet.
Oh. Feet to feet?
Feet to feet.
Oh,
There you go.
All right.
Like a pedal bike.
So this question comes from @Sophia CA 925646160. And she asks, what is your favorite musical? Both to perform and to sing.
Oh man, okay. Favorite musical, there's Snap the Musical, did you just say? Oh yeah, there is a FNAF the Musical. It's a random camera channel. For a second there, I was like, there's no FNAF the Musical. But there is. And I know, yes, I am in. It was a very late night, okay, guys? Without exaggeration, like, we filmed FNAF the Musical, at least the part that I was in, we filmed FNAF the Musical at, I think it was 3 in the morning.
Oh, Jesus.
And then it was like, we were like wrapping things up at like 6 or 7 in the morning. It was a long, long night. And so like, you know, part of that is like me acting like a crazy person. The other part of it is like me delirious with lack of sleep. Like, rah, 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 I'm gonna saw you in half with my flamethrower razor blade thing. Okay, favorite musical to watch or engage with or whatever. There is this great musical. What? Hamilton. Hamilton is very good. I love Hamilton. It was one of the best shows that I have seen in person ever. It's great. Sweetie Todd, I'm a big fan of. It's hard to hate a show where, you know, there's like this murderous barber running around and like everyone in the cast basically gets to ride a slide. Like you're like in the barber chair and then during press rehearsals they're like, okay, we've got to warm up the slide. Who wants to go? And everyone raises their hand because like you like get your throat slit and it's like, woo, go down the slide. It's awesome. But I would say, these are kind of obscure, but the Full Monty actually is, It was a movie, but it's a great musical, and it kind of got ignored back in the day because it came out the same year as The Producers, which is like one of the most successful musicals of all time. But the music in Full Monty is great, the message in Full Monty is great, and as a show, it's just like super, super fun and well written. So that's one of my favorites to watch. I also love this musical called Reefer Madness, which, you know, don't get the wrong idea, friends. It's actually based on this like old 1940s era like public service video about like the dangers of marijuana. And it's this real thing that happened in the 1940s that is, and I don't, you know, do drugs or drink or anything like that, but this music, so this PSA from back in the 1940s, what am I looking at? I don't even know what's going on. What are you doing? Do you have a boot on your head? Okay, it's good. I like your fashion accessory. It's great. Hey, to each their own, man. You do you, friend. But so anyway, it's this over-the-top like you know, government PSA thing about like the dangers of drug use, and it's like in that over-the-top, like really shticky style, which is really funny. And so this musical takes that and makes it into like this over-the-top like experience, and it's one of the funniest musicals. It's one of the funniest musicals of all time. It's one of the movies that I have watched more than any other movie in history. It's great. It's delightful. No one's ever heard of it, so if you ever check it out, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Favorite musicals performed though, I really like Thoroughly Modern Millie, which is another one. Like a small subset of people pretend like they know it. Because it's this obscure musical that no one really knows, but it has a lot of great upbeat music, and it's kind of that like classic musical theater style, which I really, like little jazz hands. What?
Yeah, give us like one line from the song.
All right, I'll try. Okay, let's see if I can still sing, please. My voice is so tired at the end of VidCon. Oh, the places I would like to show you, although I hardly know you, I've a funny feeling we make a perfect pair. All the sights I want to see you seeing, the nights of you and me, we. Wait a minute, just a minute, no. I'm a Joe with just one aim. Every night to date a different dame. Call each one of them the same pet name. Hey baby, in a row I have my ducks. Loads of gals, give me loads of yucks. Leave the coup into the other clocks. I don't mean maybe. Got it good. What do I need with love? I got it good. What do I need with love? There you go. I think I remember all the words to this song. It's been a while.
Alrighty, well we're rounding up close to the end, so
Yes.
I'm gonna ask one last question.
They're gonna kick us out of the expo hall. I would stay here, but like literally VidCon is over.
This last question is from Feruifolia Art. You rock. I'm gonna expand on your question a little bit. The question is, if you could go back in time and tell your past self about who you are today, how would you have reacted? But I'm also curious, if you could go back in time and meet your past self, what is like the key advice you would give young MatPat about what you've learned and about life?
Do a Let's Play channel. It's react to horror games. No, it's a good one. It's a little bit faster to make videos when you do that. No, you know, what would I tell myself? I think I would tell myself to keep believing in yourself and to, you know, to not worry so much about what other people think of you. Oh, thanks. Just when I was in high school, I wanted to be popular. I wanted to have a lot of friends, and being the nerdy type of guy that I am, it wasn't super easy for me. And so I put on this persona or this personality that I thought would make me more likable or cool or more accepted by the people going to school with me. And it wasn't actually me. It wasn't true to who I was and what my passions were. And I very distinctly remember this one moment when I was in show choir, and this girl, show choir, before Glee made it popular, thank you very much. And she's like, Pat, you're not a genuine person. I'm like, what? What do you mean? I don't understand. And she's like, yeah, you're not real. And that, like, it took me a while to, like, really understand it and let it kind of, like, sink in. But it was one of those moments that really hit home where I'm like, she's right. I'm not being authentic. And it really wasn't until I met Stephanie who helped me to she's pretty cool. She taught me what it was like to, be confident in who I was, and, hey, if people like you, great. If people don't like you, so be it. That's fine. Like, as long as you're being happy with who you are and the person that you are, you have nothing to apologize for. Like, don't let the outside world dictate how you feel about yourself. And that was a really big moment for me. And so I hope that the channels in some small way have been able to share that message with you guys, where, hey, it's okay to be smart, it's okay to be a nerd, it's okay to be a fan of any number of things, whether it's Marvel movies or Disney movies or anime or a video game series that has a plot line that makes no sense about animatronic bears and dead bodies. It doesn't matter. Like, you can be yourself, you can be passionate about what you're passionate about, and you have nothing to apologize for, because you are special and you are beautiful and you are important and you are deserving and worthy of love. And at the meet and greet yesterday, I think, a lot of people said that the channels have helped them realize that. And that, to me, is the most important, like, 10 million subscribers, meeting the Pope, whatever, like, that to me is the single most important thing that I've been able to do. And if I can keep sharing that message outward to the world, all the better. So, anyway, that's what I would say.
Thank you for, sharing that. That's something really special. I love working with this guy. We're about done, but, I think we should get you a final round of applause, and are we maybe, should these guys